What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's topic, why paint peels off the wall and how to fix it. So exciting. Hang on to the edge of your seats. Let's get going. Okay, before we get started, let me explain something real quick to everyone so you understand why this happens and how to prevent it. I was a journeyman drywall finisher in the union for 10 years. I worked alongside the old guys, the guys that had been doing it for 20, 30 years. They taught me to do it right. And one thing I hear when I work with some other general contractors is they think you're supposed to go through with a kitchen broom and brush off all of the dust off of all the walls and ceilings through the whole job. They think you're supposed to do that after you finish the drywall, when you're done sanding and touching up. But you're not. That's silly. My 10 years in the union doing level 4 smooth wall finishes, we don't do that. We've never done it. It's not necessary. It's a waste of time. But what you do need to do to make sure that this doesn't happen is when you go to put on your first coat, maybe you're going to do a coat of primer, maybe you're going to do a coat of paint with primer. Whatever your first coat is, you need to back roll, okay? Because there are going to be a few spots around the job where there's a decent layer of dust there, and if you just spray and you don't back roll, you're going to have a layer of dust in between your paint and your wall, and it's not going to make contact with the wall, and that's when this is going to happen. So understand, if you're doing your first coat, if it's primer or paint mixed with primer, you can't just spray on a coat and skip the back roll. Okay, if you do, then you're taking on a risk of this happening. Okay, here we go. So today's project, we have a skylight. Okay, not just any skylight. This skylight is inside a bathroom. And not only that, but the skylight is like 6 feet tall. So you have moisture from the shower, it's on the second floor of the house, and heat from your house rises, and plus you have sunlight shining into that skylight. So I mean, it just gets really hot and humid up inside that skylight. When I was up there working, I swear to God, it was like 130 degrees. I mean, it was less than 5 minutes and I was just sweating. So, skylights are kind of a high-risk area, laundry rooms and bathrooms, but probably skylights are something that I see, they need repairs more than just about anything else. Okay, so we scraped all the paint, and then you're going to slap some mesh tape on that harsh edge, okay? Because where that existing paint is, where it transitions into the smooth spot where we scraped, you're just going to have a really harsh line there. So just to make sure that that harsh line doesn't bleed through, and it is possible at some point in the future that it could possibly start peeling again in that area. So just to make sure that doesn't happen, we're going to slap that mesh tape on there. And then for my first coat, I'm going to use hot mud. I'm just going to slap a thin skim of hot mud over the whole thing. And then I'm going to turn around and I'm going to do a second coat over the whole thing with topping light, Beadex topping light, which is the easiest mud to sand, and it's basically the best mud to use for putting on your final coat. If you've never used hot mud before, if you're brand new to drywall finishing, brand new to doing patches like this, then I recommend that you don't use hot mud. You could get yourself into a lot of trouble. When hot mud sets up, it sets up rock hard. You can't sand it smooth. So if you don't do it right the first time, you're in trouble. You're going to see that spot bulging out. When you paint it and the light shines on it, you're going to see it. So, you need to at least be a mid-level drywall finisher. You need to have some experience before you start messing around with hot mud. So if you're new, just use all-purpose light, Beadex all-purpose light, and you can use that for your first and your second coat. And it's pretty easy to sand, and it's good stuff. So just use that. Okay, now if we take a look at the top part of the skylight up there, okay, that top edge going all the way around the top of the skylight, the sheetrock is damaged. There's parts of it that are bulging out, flared out, little bits of paper from the sheetrock kind of sticking out. They never did put L-metal around the top of that skylight like they were supposed to, and that's what happens. It looks like it got a little bit damaged when they put the skylight in. So we need to put L-metal all the way around that. Okay, let me teach you how to do this L-metal real quick. And I know this stuff gets boring. If you're still here watching, thank you. That means you actually want to learn. Go ahead and subscribe and turn on the bell. But You don't have to if you don't want to. Maybe just hit the like button for me to help out the channel a little bit. Okay, so this L metal here, basically this is not L metal, this is corner bead. It's from Home Depot. When you go to Home Depot, you'll basically see two corner beads that they offer. You have one that's the extra wide corner bead, which means the metal part on the inside of the corner bead is about a full inch wide. And then you have the cheaper ones, which is what this one is, where if you look at the inside and you look at that metal strip on the inside, it's only about a ½ inch wide, as you can see right here. Okay, so that section that's only a ½ inch wide, you're going to take your razor knife and you're going to cut that paper. You're going to follow that metal edge all the way down, and it's going to give you a nice clean cut. You're going to cut that paper off, and then you're going to have a perfect piece of L metal. In fact, I prefer doing it this way. I could just buy an actual piece of L metal, but I prefer doing it this way because it's just better. It has a bead on it, and when you put a coat of mud on it, it just works out better. And I just prefer to do it this way. This is the best L metal in my opinion. The best way to do L metal in my opinion. Okay, now here you can see it where the paper has been trimmed off. So you have a perfect piece of L metal now. And I love that it has the bead on it. Most L metal that you're going to find, if you want to buy just a piece of L metal, it doesn't have the bead. So you kind of have to leave like a little extra mud on it, or else you'll see the edge of the L metal kind of bleeding through your mud. Okay, so you're going to have your all-purpose light. You're going to put a strip of mud across the top, and then you're going to slap on your L metal, and you need to make sure that there's mud underneath the paper. There doesn't have to be mud underneath the metal part of your L metal, but there needs to be mud underneath the paper strip, otherwise you'll have blisters. And I recommend that you put on one piece at a time. It's easier to cut them to the exact length, and everything will be perfect. If you try to cut all 4 pieces at once and do it all at once, you could have problems. That could make things complicated. I don't recommend trying to do that unless you're an experienced drywall finisher. Okay, and then once you get it on, you're going to do 2 coats again, just like you did with the patch. Do 1 coat, let it dry, give it a scrape or a quick sand with your sponge. 2nd coat, sand it smooth, touch it up. Okay, same as the patch. Okay, here we are. We are now sanded, touched up, primer with a 6-inch roller, and texture with a spray can. And yes, you can get pretty much an exact match with a spray can. Anyone who thinks you can't, it's because the work that they saw before just wasn't that good, and the guy just didn't do a very good job. But do what the can says. Shake it vigorously for 1 minute, spray a little bit on an old piece of sheetrock or plastic, and when you have the tip set right to where it looks like your existing texture that's on your wall, go ahead and spray. Spray it until it looks right. Walk away for 10 minutes because it's going to set up and it might shrink a bit. Come back. If it looks good, you're good. Spray a little more if you need to, and then you're done.